Hey, have you ever wanted something just because all your friends had it? Maybe it was a new phone, a popular video game, or that trendy water bottle everyone seemed to carry. You start thinking, well, if everyone else likes it, it must be good, right? That way of thinking has a name, the bandwagon fallacy. It's a logical mistake where people assume something is true, good, or worth doing simply because a lot of other people believe it or are doing it. In other words, you're jumping on the bandwagon just because the crowd is already on it. And trust me, our brains fall for this trick all the time. Today, we're going to see how it works, why it's so convincing, and how to spot it before it fools you. Oh man, does this sound familiar? Um, this is a classic example of the bandwagon fallacy. The bandwagon fallacy happens when someone believes something is true or a good idea just because lots of other people think so. Instead of using evidence, the argument relies on popularity. But just because something is popular doesn't mean it's correct. And that's exactly where the logic goes wrong. So here's the basic idea. The bandwagon fallacy happens when we assume that something must be right, true, or the best choice simply because a lot of people believe it or are doing it. In other words, it's an appeal to the crowd, not to the actual facts. The name is actually pretty interesting. It comes from an old phrase called jumping on the bandwagon. Imagine a wagon in a parade with music playing. As it becomes more popular, more and more people jump on and join the crowd. The bandwagon fallacy works the same way. It happens when people believe something is true or good just because lots of other people believe it too, instead of thinking about the facts for themselves. But this isn't just something you learn in a textbook. The bandwagon fallacy is all around us. Now imagine you're in a marketing meeting. Someone says, billboards are the best form of advertising because most people think they are. But wait a minute, just because many people believe something doesn't mean it is true or the best choice. Where is the evidence? Is there any data to support this idea? Are the billboards actually helping the business? What about technology? We've all experienced this before. A new phone comes out and suddenly it seems like everyone has one. You might start to think, wow, it must be the best phone. But is it really the best? Or is it simply popular because of advertisements and because so many people are talking about it? And this fallacy goes deeper than just our shopping habits. It affects what we believe too. You'll hear people say, well, millions of people read their horoscopes, so there must be something to it. But again, that's an argument based on the number of believers, not on any actual proof. All right, so we've seen what it looks like. Now let's explore why this type of reasoning is flawed. Why can't we rely on popularity as proof that something is true? It can seem very logical at first. If millions of people believe something, doesn't that mean it must be true? This brings us to a big question. So why is this a fallacy? Why isn't the opinion of a large group of people enough to prove that something is true? The key thing to remember is that popularity and quality are not the same. Just because many people believe something does not mean it is true or the best choice. In fact, groups of people can be wrong. History gives us many examples of this. Sometimes a trend becomes popular even when there is very little evidence to support it. And most importantly, what works well for many people may not be the best choice for you. That's why it is important to think carefully and look at the evidence before making a decision. It really comes down to choosing one of two paths. On one side, you've got just following the trend. You assume popular equals good and you don't really think about your own situation. But on the other side, you've got critical thinking where you look at the real data, the facts, and you decide if it's a good fit for you. Now let's look at the practical side. How can you recognize the bandwagon fallacy in everyday life? And more importantly, how can you avoid being influenced by it yourself? Avoiding the bandwagon fallacy is actually quite simple. Just follow two steps. First, pause and think. Ask yourself, Is this popular because it is actually good, or is it popular simply because many people like it? Second, look for evidence. Learn more about the topic, check the facts, and decide for yourself. Don't rely only on what the crowd thinks. Make your decision based on evidence and your own reasoning. Before we finish, let's try one more example. Imagine that a friend says this about a new notebook. Now that you know about the bandwagon fallacy, how would you respond? What questions could you ask to help your friend think more carefully about their choice? Practicing questions like these can help us become better critical thinkers and make our own decisions based on evidence, not just popularity. Thank you for watching.
If you'd like more personalized feedback, writing support, and discussion sessions, they're available with me or with our selected tutors. All the details are here.